do take a seat. I am just observing you initially. I'd just like to get an idea of your posture and how you're moving at the moment. Okay, so just take a seat there. Okay, I'm just going to ask you now to do a set of movements, okay? And I'm just going to make some notes. I don't want to explain too much to you just yet because I want to see how your body's moving without you consciously changing anything, okay? So initially, I'd just like you to stand up, okay? And then I'll ask you to sit down, alright? And then I'm going to ask you to bend down as if you were picking something up and then return to the seated position, okay? But don't worry, I'll give you I'll give you a reminder of what to do, okay? Alright, so if you could stand up for me. And sit down. Thank you. And if you could stand up again for me. Okay. And from the standing position, if you could bend down as if you were picking something up. Okay, and sit down again. And then if you could just sit as you would normally. So kind of as you know, in the posture that you would in a normal situation. I'm just going to ask you to stand up again for me, okay? Alright, I'm just going to have a look from the side now. If you could sit down, okay? And then stand up again for me. And then sit down again. And stand up. Okay, and then just having a look from this side. So if you could sit down. and then stand up. And then sit down. Okay. And one last time from this angle, if you could sit down for me. And now just stand up, but slowly. Okay. So I just wanted to do a bit of an evaluation first. I'm now going to just go into a bit of an explanation of what I think you're doing, okay, and then we will look at how I can help you adjust your posture using the Alexander technique, okay. So initially I'm noticing that you are using your neck, okay. Now the head is very heavy and it's being rested on one of the most delicate parts of the body, and that is the spine, okay. And your spine is what connects everything, okay. So from your head all the way down your back to your lower back and to your legs and feet. So it is true that any kind of misuse of the spine at any point can affect the body parts that are further up or down the spine. So I'm saying that you're overusing your neck, okay, and that is going to put strain on the lower part of the spine, all right, and that's going to be giving you lower back pain. It's also going to be giving you neck pain as well, because you're using one of the most fragile parts of your body to lift something that's very heavy. So that's my first observation. The second is that you're not really using your core muscles, okay? You're relying, as I mentioned, on your upper neck and your lower back to lift yourself up, okay? And because of that, it's causing a weakness in your legs, and everything's slightly out of balance, okay. This is something that will take a number of sessions to fix. In fact, some people have Alexander technique therapy for a number of months, and some people do it for a lifetime. There is an element of mindfulness. It is about being aware of what you're doing and not allowing your body to fall into habit. Okay, now I talked about it possibly causing back pain. There is some evidence to suggest that it can help with chronic pain, especially in the back. And as I said, any kind of lower body pain, hip pain, knee pain, that can all be linked to the way that you are using your neck and spine. So when you were standing up, if you could just stand up for me now. Okay, so instead of allowing your head to stay nice and still, you kind of move your head back slightly and encourage your spine to lift you. And it's going to be causing lots of strain, as I mentioned. Okay. If you could sit down for me, great, and then stand up again. Okay. Now I've noticed that you're using your hands. All right. We shouldn't need to do this at all. The strength should come from the core, and that's with standing up. It should be more of a balanced movement as opposed to a number of body parts lifting you. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to focus on the standing and sitting movement that you're doing, alright? There were some further observations that I did when you were lifting the object from the floor, pretending to. there were some flaws there as well. Again, pressure on the spine, okay? And I am noticing that you're leaning slightly on one side. I noticed when I was standing over there that I could see it was leaning slightly more on this side. So that's something else that we need to consider, and perhaps correcting the neck first would lead to further improvement down the body. Okay, alright then, so I'm going to put this down. And what I'm going to do now is just assist you and kind of make you slightly more aware of what you're doing, alright? The way that I like to explain it is when you are standing up, kind of keep your head as still as possible and imagine there is a piece of string that's holding your body. So instead of leaning forward to stand up, you should be standing up and keeping your spine and shoulders wide. Okay, so the 4 techniques of Alexander technique. The first is to allow your head to be loose. Alright, so let's start with that one, shall we? So if you take a seat, I'm just going to guide your head as you stand. Okay, good. It's an improvement already. Now just ever so slightly lifting your head here. Okay. Alright, so if you could try and keep your head, I'm going to keep my hand here and take a seat. Okay. Alright then, and if you could just stand for me. Okay. So as you've noticed, I'm trying to stop your head from going backwards, okay? And so if you could stand for me and just holding your head. Okay. Just ever so slightly. Alright. Okay, so the second element of the Alexander technique is your shoulders, okay? So when you are standing, we are going to now be slightly more conscious about what your shoulders are doing, okay? So they should be back and out. Alright, so again, remembering what we've done with the head, when you stand again, okay, I'm going to just hold your shoulders here. So if you could just stand. Okay. Okay. Alright, so another element of the Alexander technique is long torso. Okay, so we're building this up now. So I'd like you to try again, alright? Now this time, with your head nice and straight, your shoulders nice and wide. I'd like you to become conscious of what you're doing with your torso, okay? So, rather than bending the spine, okay, you're going to try and keep your spine as straight as you can, but we are being very mindful here, okay, and we are not being rigid at all. So if you could just take a seat, okay, and then stand for me. Okay. So I'm just going to hold you here and then just watch how you sit down. Oh, that's brilliant. That's much better. Okay. And then standing and up light as a feather, as if there is a string from the head. Okay. Just making these slight adjustments. Okay, now what you're doing with your hands is there's still slight strain in them. When you next sit down, so when you next stand up, I'd like you to make sure there is no energy or tension going into your hands, okay? So you can just leave your hands on your lap, but they shouldn't be part of the standing process. Okay, so if you could stand up for me and sit down. Okay, now when you're sitting, don't forget you have muscles in your legs. Okay, use those. Consciously think about the muscles that you are engaging in the process, okay? And you should be utilising those glutes and hamstrings and the calf muscles as well. So if you could take a seat and then stand up again. Okay, making sure feet are slightly far apart, there you go, and arms nice and relaxed. I'm just turning those shoulder muscles, shoulder bones, slightly outwards. What you'll find is over time there will be slight roundingness of the shoulder, okay? So we don't want that, and that can cause lots of issues. So I'm just moving those shoulders out, okay? Just making sure that the arm is nice and relaxed. And legs slightly wider apart, just like mine, okay? And just turn the foot. Perfect, just like that. Okay, hands beside you and sitting down. That's much better. Okay. And standing up for me. Okay, don't forget the string, okay, and standing, okay. So it's the head being free, the shoulders to widen, okay, hips to open and release, and torso to lengthen. Okay, so it's about being more conscious about what you're doing. Alright, so just making some. Okay, and sit down for me. Okay, so just pushing your back against the chair there. Okay, knees slightly further apart. Okay, just rest your hands on your lap, okay? And just relax the hands. Alright, and the shoulders. Just relax the shoulders and make sure the head is nice and straight. Okay. Alright, now I'm going to ask you to stand now and then sit, and I'm just going to make a few more notes. Okay, so if you could stand for me. Try not to readjust yourself after you have done the movement, just so I have time to make the note, okay? Alright, and sit down for me. So your hands are lovely and relaxed. There is still some slight neck movement when you are standing, and ever so slightly on the lower back, okay? So remember to engage those legs when you're standing. I have immediately noticed you're no longer leaning on one side, and that could possibly be because you're now aware of it. And part of this is becoming more aware and observing your own actions. Okay. Okay, if you could sit down for me. So, I do recommend you come back for some more sessions with me, because we do have some slight lower back work still needed, and it's more about getting into the habit, okay? Okay, and just stand for me one last time. I'm going to try and do some posture work now as you're standing. Okay, so just pushing your torso in slightly, straightening that spine, the shoulders back. just sit down for me. Okay, and stand. Alright, so just relaxing this shoulder slightly more. Okay.